Hi, my name is Vikram Badwar and welcome to yet another episode of the Learning Lab. In this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about the role of theatre as a formal study in our interventions. In the last 15 odd years, we've seen a shift in the way organizations are looking at using theatre studies for people development, change management, for culture. It has evolved a little bit more than just drama or an icebreaker or a role play. In order to be able to speak about the role of theatre in the way we look at leadership development, we have with us Vidushi Chadha. Welcome, Vidushi.
Thank you, Vikram.
And she is going to talk about the role of theatre in the way we develop people. So before we get on to that, Vidushi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Vidushi Chadha, and before I tell you a little bit about myself, I have a confession to make.
Go for it.
So a few years ago, I was in Scotland with my family, and we were just on the mountains, and my parents gifted me a black sheep, not a real one, but a stuffed toy. I paused for a minute and I didn't know how to react. Should I laugh? Should I be offended? But I felt that was a gesture of acceptance. So now I wear that black sheep label, proudly. And I think that's just me in a nutshell. I've always been the one who's chosen her own path. That's what led me to theatre. So I've over a decade of experience in theatre. I pursued my MFA in acting from California Institute of the Arts. I've performed in Delhi, Bombay, Los Angeles. I'm also a drama facilitator with National School of Drama and Drama School Mumbai. And I really feel like theatre is not just a passion or a hobby, but it's for me a way of life.
Yeah.
It's a little bit about myself.
So how did you get into theatre? By the way, she's also a Lumina practitioner.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So tell me, how did you get into theatre? And why theatre?
So I used to say I can't act to save my life. And that's, acting saved my life. I laughed my way into the theatre. I had a very annoying and high-pitched laugh. It sounded a little bit like so you can understand the embarrassment of people around me, and especially my parents. I am from a South Delhi background, and I was always, looked at people around me, women around me being very prim and proper. So I hid my laughter. And in first year of college, I entered the theatre society, and I was cast in a play, and suddenly something happened and I started laughing, my authentic, powerful, high-pitched, hiccupy laugh. And I was so embarrassed. But the director said, keep that laughter. Let's put it in your character. And that became my signature. So I learned how to laugh. And I think that's a metaphor for a lot of things in my life. After that, once you reclaim your laughter, you can't really stay silent.
That is true.
So that was the beginning of my journey.
That's lovely. That's lovely. So why do you think theatre lends itself into learning, especially in the behavioral and leadership space?
Right. So theatre is about people. It's about yourself. It's about other people in the room and the story you're trying to tell, right? So that can work in any space of work because you're working with people. You yourself have to bring yourself to work every day and you have a common goal or task. So how can you do it in the most cohesive way? Once you understand yourself, your strengths, your blind spots, and where are the areas you need to liberate yourself or open yourself, theatre is very beautiful in doing that because you feel the change rather than intellectually thinking about it.
We actually always talk about it, that knowledge that remains in the head remains in the clouds.
Right.
And you have to be able to really embody it for it to become real.
Right.
I've always heard you talk a lot about archetypes and archetypes that we need to be able to access at will. Tell us a little bit about archetypes.
So, Vikram, if I ask you who's the hero in your life, what would you say?
Oh, as in another person or another aspect of...
Anything that comes to your mind.
My mother.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. Or if I ask you, what do you feel is your one archetype that you can relate to? I have a few for you.
um, yeah, I think that I always look at a certain part of myself which sits in stillness,
Right.
but has the ability to move with agility in that stillness.
Right.
So that's something that I keep trying to access.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you are definitely got the hermit archetype of introspection, and you have the archetype of a storyteller and an athlete, right? So the agility comes from the athletic side of you, and the hermit is the more introspective side.
Sure.
So we are all a cluster of archetypes, right? And someone, let's say, someone who's used to being a caregiver might have a warrior inside her. And I think when you tap into those archetypes and in an embodied way, like we spoke about, the shift that happens, the transformation that happens, you know that you have that power to step into another set of patterns of behavior that are inherently in you. Because archetypes are inherently in us as collective unconsciousness of the human being. That's what
Yes.
Carl Jung said.
Yes.
So I feel archetypes is a very powerful way to access your presence and power.
Yeah.
And it helps you, even Lumina, as a Lumina practitioner, we work with 4 broad archetypes that further goes into 8 aspects and many, many other qualities. Very simply put, I always like to explain Lumina like I would explain it to a 6-year-old because it's so simple but so powerful. So imagine your life is a canvas and you have a spectrum of crayons, all these different colors. You can choose what color to use where in your life, which color you're overusing, which one you're not using as much, and you can access those colors at will. So once you have awareness of, you can be inspiring, but also be grounded. And that's the range that those patterns of behavior that Lumina brings in. So I think with both theater and Lumina, I combine data and drama to really have a self-reflective transformation, and it also works in teams. Because if you have certain strengths and I don't have those strengths, we'll work very well together. But like you and I are both very imaginative people, right? So we often go, I'm like, oh, imagine this, and you're like, imagine that, and let's imagine this, and let's imagine that. But we need
That's why we need a Kia and a Shivangi in our life.
Exactly. So we fill the canvas with those colors. Yeah.
Which actually, this was my next question, that how does theater really lead to teaming? Understanding what is your personal contribution, your contribution within a team, and your contribution across teams.
Right.
So that you're not just thinking in silos, which is a huge problem in organizations. Yeah. Which is, by the way, I really feel is an HR problem. If your people are working in silos, I really feel that they are not feeling safe. And if you're not feeling safe, you will never get to max Q potential. But anyway, coming back. So how does theater lead to teaming?
I love theater because, it's not a solo sport. It can be, you might be able to do a one-woman show and do everything on your own, but mostly we work in ensembles. And even if you're the only actor, there are lots of other people's, the writers, the production members, lighting, sound, which help bring the story in front of you.
Yeah, makes it real.
Makes it real. Yeah. And also, you have lots of experience in theater. So imagine, Vikram, you go into a play and you say, wow, what a beautiful play. That's a bigger compliment than saying, yeah, the play was okay, but that actor was great. Right? And so when we work in theater, we're working together to do our best so that we work as one team to create that product.
Yeah.
And sometimes actors, for example, between teams, the actors are rehearsing separately. But if we are not getting the production members involved from the very beginning, then we are not going to be able to create that story.
Absolutely.
So I think with theater, it's really fun, which is why a play is a play.
Yeah, it is.
It has to be a play.
You have to get your food on time.
Right, absolutely. And your chai.
And your chai.
But I think what it does is that even if we play a game which is seemingly stupid, they're building so many muscles in us to be receptive, to respond, to be intuitive. And these are all skills that can be learned, muscles we can build.
Absolutely.
When we use these tools for, companies or corporates or any organization, there is a sense of community that is formed.
Absolutely.
And then I would like to go to work and I would like to say good morning to you, right? Rather than I may even get you a coffee if I like you. I like working with you. That's what we're trying to develop. And then, of course, we create better work.
Yeah, and we love saying this at Syngrity because we really try to embody it, that it's really about creating an ecosystem of allyship.
Right.
And it is really, really required because as I feel that as we are getting more and more connected on social media, we are also getting really lonely and we are living in our little spaces. Syngrity offers archetypes, exploration workshops. We like to call them play shops that really work well with women, that work well with understanding storytelling, your own personal storytelling, to understand leadership and to understand what presence really means. Yeah, and Vidushi brings in a very, very interesting style of, like I said, using theater and to understand various archetypes that are accessible to us. So please get in touch with us if you'd like to explore and understand more of archetypes. And my dog has just entered the frame. But thank you very much, Vidushi, for talking to us, telling us a little bit about archetypes, telling us a little bit about yourself, your journey, which is actually very inspiring. And don't worry, we're all the black sheep.
Right, right. I love it now. Yeah. I would just like to end, Vikram, by saying one thing. We all have the visionary archetype in us. So it's not about what we are, but it's about what we could be. And I think that's the beauty of really working on yourself and, connecting with different kinds of methodologies to reach where that visionary would want to reach.
Unlayering, peeling the onion off, the layers of the onion off.
Right.
Great. Thank you so much. This was really, really nice. Please keep following us on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram. We keep posting a lot of our conversations with different facilitators, different people we meet, we like to work with. So do follow us, and thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of Learning Lab. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.